iZombie Season 5, Episode 9, The Fresh Princess. This was definitely a good episode. Of course, the very ending of... I want to start there just because things were different than what I anticipated. So now we have, instead of Liv finding out by herself, we will most likely end up having Ravi and Peyton tell her where it's like, you know, hate to break the news to you, but your dad is like the father of all zombies. Also your father, so it's going to be different. It's not what I was expecting. If you guys remember when I did my review, however many episodes back that was, I think it was only 2 episodes ago. I assumed it was going to be like, oh, they were going to bond and things were going to be fine. And then they were going to have it where the one woman comes in, comes to the house or something like that happens and Liv is able to find out by accident. Apparently her dad is a bit smarter than that, although he does have her like come to the house and he did have like the secret basement deal going on. So it's not 100% smart, but it's not like, you can be like, don't come over here. So in that way, it does make sense, because otherwise it would be like, how else could you possibly do it? Because it's like, odds are your daughter won't randomly go in the basement, but anyone at any random time is going to be like, well, I'm getting to know you, let's do a tour of the house. It's like the most random thing you can do, to be like, I want to get to know you, let's see what you randomly have around your house. Like, it lets me know what you like and don't like. So little stuff like that, and obviously you just don't even talk about that when you write shows, so it just kind of leave it up to the imagination. But little stuff like that you got to be careful about. So I assume that won't be in there where they even bring up that sort of thing. But that's what I think of, when I watch shows. I'm like, that doesn't work 100%, because especially in this very particular case where it's like she's getting to know her dad. That's like the first thing I would do if I wanted to get to know someone. I'd be like, okay, we're hanging out and it's been decades and stuff. I don't, get to know you, get to know me. Let's walk through the house, check out this random thing and that random thing, and how you design stuff, how you choose to decorate the place that you live. Little stuff like that does help you get to know people. So it's kind of funny thinking about it. It was like, she goes to his place at the end of the episode. And I was like, I still feel like that could be a way where she ends up finding out. But now that they've done it where Ravi and Peyton find his house at the end of the episode, it's just like, well, odds are that's how it's going to play. But they could also do the other thing where, Liv finds out on her own, and then Ravi and Peyton are like, okay, yeah, we actually knew this, but we were too scared to tell you because we wanted things to work out between you guys. So I'm curious how that's going to play out. I would love for them to tell her, because I feel like that's kind of the normal thing. Everyone freaks out and then they don't tell the person, but eventually they figure it out in like another 2 episodes. And then they have their argument for an episode, possibly 2, and then everything's fine. But it was like, it would just be cool if they're just like, all right, next episode, like next Thursday, they sit her down and it's like, your dad's the, he's the beanpole guy and he's the father of all zombies. And they just, lay it out there just like that. So I would love to see that. I just kind of don't think we're going to get it. Although it would be the perfect episode with them doing like the really crazy noir. They could have an actual dramatic thing in there. But I love the promo. So I'm very excited for next week's episode either way, because it should be funny. But I would love that if they just put it in the next episode. They're just like, all right, we just need to tell you. Like, this is exactly what's happening. So, here you go. But either way, I thought it was cool. I was like, all right, we have some characters that know. Not the characters that I would have expected, because I thought it was just going to be Liv and then she would tell everyone else. But we have Ravi and Peyton doing their own little investigation. Them running across Blaine was hilarious, where they're sneaking. And I thought about that too. I was like, all right, they're in the basement. Blaine doesn't do anything anymore. Like, even though he has he's got his feelers going out to kidnap a bunch of kids, he doesn't do anything. He can't really go anywhere. He's not at the scratching post. I was like, where would he be right now? And then they turn the light and he's just like, hey. And he's just sitting there in the dark. So I thought that was a really funny moment. But I thought that was a cool scene. But they're doing their investigations, and then we find out at the end of the episode as well, Peyton is no longer the acting mayor, because the whole selling the rights to naming the needle, that ended up catching up to her. So she got fired. People do love the show though. We have the one cop who is like a stickler for the rules, and then she comes along and is like, man, I love the show and everything like that. And they, him and his wife binge watch it and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, that ended up catching up with her. So she's no longer there. The family element for Liv actually comes into play outside of her father. Like, her mom comes back, and then we actually see her brother, who I do believe is the same actor as well. So he comes back. We find out that he's sick, of course, from the damage from the explosion in season 1. So he actually needs to go do like this experimental thing. And I'm really curious how that's going to play out, because I thought they were going to do like a little twist deal where the woman who's the spy was going to be sent out on that mission. And I thought something might happen with that. But, since they just sent a random person, I was like, okay, that'll probably just be fine. And then they'll just do like random little updates and it'll be okay. But man, they did a lot of good stuff in this one outside of Liv's character, because we have Major dealing with a horrible situation where we had the Major's daughter get kidnapped, and it was like, all right, they have to figure out what's going on with her and where she's been taken. And of course, it's the woman who I believe is a part of the Dead Enders. I can never remember what group she's a part of, or she might not even be a part of her group. I think that's her thing, is that she's staying away from the actual group, so she's not really a part of the structure. But it was just a great plan on her part. Like, she kidnaps these two people, they lock them up in the porta potties, they steal the truck, they starve them, and they have the perfect time because they're doing the paesta. And so they starve them. They turn them into Romero zombies and let them go crazy. And they just pop the porta potties open, and then they just sprawl out and just start eating people just in this mass chaos. And it's just like, look at this new crazy thing that zombies did, which I don't know how that's gonna play out. I feel like there's some way that they could fix that, but at the same time, considering it's like this big war between humans and zombies, people won't pay much attention to it. I mean, that's almost like the real world. You could easily have the facts to be like, okay, well, that wouldn't randomly happen where they just suddenly crazed zombies come out of nowhere, because it takes like almost a week for that sort of stuff to actually happen. Like, it takes days for zombies to go that crazy. And I think at this point, everyone should know that. So there should be some questions brought up. Like, we'll probably get it from the main characters, but I'm sure they'll do like like a little fake news piece where people won't even think of that sort of stuff. It's like, see, zombies going crazy, and it's like, it takes days for that stuff to happen. So something weird is going on. Like, they wouldn't just come out of nowhere and suddenly they're at this festival, but nobody saw them from wherever they are. So I feel like that could come up, but it might not. And even if it does, like I said, some people will probably just be like, it doesn't matter. Facts are, zombies killed people. It doesn't matter how it happened. It just happened, and innocent people died. So, things are on the rise, of course. So you have our two different sides. We got Liv's dad, this other lady. So at some point they got to come to a head, but it gets crazier and crazier. Also, with that little element there, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's like, all right, well, the whole big deal about that character was they had to rescue her because she is the general's daughter. Excuse me. So Major has to pull a bullet in her head because there's no way to bring anybody back from that specific state. So are they gonna even live? I'm sure they will, because that would be like the most insane ending if they actually bombed the city and just killed everybody. But now that that's happened, and it's put on the news as well, I just don't know what's gonna happen. Like, they wouldn't have a lot of time at this point. Like, once that spreads, which I'm sure it will, because you have this woman who probably doesn't know the ins and outs of that. I'm sure nobody knows that except for like Major and his people at Fillmore Graves. People don't know, like, hey, we have to keep her safe, because otherwise this whole effing city will be bombed. Because I think even that woman wouldn't do that because she wouldn't be able to get out in time. Like, you wouldn't want to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out once it's like, yep, we're totally gonna bomb the city, my daughter's dead. And whether or not they share that information, it will probably just get put out anyway. I mean, it would be the government saying like, hey, you guys are getting bombed, and that's all there is to it. So it probably wouldn't be up to Major whether or not to release that info. It would just be like, nope, too late, this is happening, and it's all said and done. So it'll be interesting to see how that does end up playing out. But I love what they did in the episode. It's one of those moments where it's like, once again, it's like, it's technically like a small thing in this episode, but then it's like a few episodes down the line, they will most likely be getting nuked. Or potentially, I don't know how that would really play out. Somehow they have to stop that, because that would just be crazy. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but definitely looking forward to that. I like what they did, of course, with Ravi and Peyton finding out at the end of the episode. Liv was hilarious in this episode. All the 90s stuff was cool. They didn't reference it too much. I did look away during a part of the scene, but the scene where she was talking to Peyton, where she was like, you totally upgraded and stuff like that. She was playing with the Tamagotchi, and I thought that was so funny. I was like, where do you even get one of those? But she could have potentially have one on her own and just pulled it out. But I thought that was super funny. I was like, that's a great 90s reference. It was like a Tamagotchi. So I thought that was super funny. But it was an interesting case, and we found out that it was actually the mom. She however she ended up doing it, it was supposed to just give this girl a rash, but she ended up killing her. And then you had like this young girl who was forced to give a confession for something that she didn't do, and it was like, oh, it's like a sucky thing. And then when she dies, it's like, all right, that's getting upgraded to manslaughter. And then it's like, well, I'm not gonna admit to that because I didn't do it in the first place, but you guys kind of forced me. So it was definitely an interesting case how all that ended up playing out, and I certainly enjoyed what they showed from it with all the silly 90s references. I love the very beginning, and they did it a lot throughout the episode where she was always like giving the speeches, but it was really funny that first time when she was talking to Robbie, and she was like, I forgot exactly what she said, but she was saying it, it's like, and I don't know, and she just stopped because she didn't know where to go with it, and Robbie was just like, great. And I thought that was like the funniest one in the whole episode, because she was going through And then she just kept going and it was like, I don't know. And it's like she had nowhere to go with it. So that was probably my favorite one that they actually did was the first one. But it was funny every time. It was like, you can be anything you want. Like when she was talking to Clive, it was like, I wanted to be, I think he said like an astronaut or something, or something close to that. And she was like, and he still can be. And I'm like, it's just the speeches and things being ironic. It's like, it was just, ironic. So I love what they did for sure with that. But all in all, another great episode for what is unfortunately the final season. But every episode has still been good. I really enjoyed this one. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And of course, with what happened in this episode, the two big things, of course, being Ravi and Peyton finding out about Liv's dad, and then, of course, the whole general's daughter dying. I would love to know what you think is going to happen from those two plot lines. I think it's pretty easy that, it's like one of two ways. Either Liv will eventually find it out because they don't end up telling her ahead of time, or they'll just end up telling her, and then that'll lead to whatever. But as far as the general's daughter thing, it's hard to say. It's like they will probably have the threat looming over their heads, but somehow they're going to solve it, kind of normal TV case. But I'm just curious how they could really make that happen where they solve it. Because once it's on TV and on the internet, that's all there is to it. Like, that's going to spread, and this guy's going to find out, like, oh, my zombie daughter has been murdered. I guess we're just wasting this place. Like, that's just all there is to it. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but I would love to know your predictions and theories for how you think those, two plot lines are going to end up going. And like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.